Seeing Leona's resolute and her leaving without looking back, Zin was so painful that he almost suffocated. He had known for a long time that Leona did not actually love him. He had already known that the person Leona had always loved was actually Changying. Moreover, Leona sometimes underestimated Zin's skill. Although he never interfered with Leona's privacy on the surface, in fact, he knew everything about Leona's behavior secretly. Many years ago, after the mobile phone started to have the Wi-Fi networking function, Zin allowed top internet hackers to closely monitor his Wi-Fi network. Leona's mobile phone, when connected to the Wi-Fi, which software and which websites she visited after connecting to the Wi-Fi, he can use the tools provided by the hacker to carry out comprehensive monitoring. Therefore, he also knows that Leona has quietly visited the WebAlbum website almost every day when he is not around for so many years. In order to know what secret she was hiding in the WebAlbum, he even asked his subordinates to use a company shell outside to directly acquire the operating company of the WebAlbum. Acquiring this company would naturally control all user data on the company servers. Including what the user uploaded and browsed here, he can see clearly in the database. Therefore, he already knew that Leona would go to that online photo album every day to see some photos of her with Changying or Changying's solo photos. This has always been huge torture for Zin. He couldn't accept the beloved wife around him was always thinking about other men. Even if that man is already dead. How could it be that if he worked so hard to please and impress her, it was not important to her, yet she valued a dead person more? Because of this, he has always hated Changying. Even if Changying had passed away many years ago, he still hated him to the extreme, and he hasn't weakened in the slightest for so many years. However, Zin has always used the words, "she's mine," to hypnotize himself. He thought, what if Leona loves Changying deeply? Hasn't she married him now? Didn't she give birth to his 2 children? So, in the final analysis, he is Leona's man and her only man, which is already an absolute victory. However, now Leona resolutely left him and instantly destroyed his "she's mine" mentality without leaving any residue. Although the hatred in his heart was overwhelming at this time, when he thought that the old man still had important things waiting for him to pass, he could only temporarily calm his mind, wiped his tears, pounced his face with cold water, and wrapped his pajamas. Hurry to the old man's study. Changfeng's study room is larger than the living room of an ordinary villa. To put it bluntly, this is Changfeng's chamber. Like the imperial library of the ancient emperor, Changfeng not only reads books here, cultivates his body, but also regards it as the core brain of the entire Su family. He often discusses important matters of the Su family with his sons and core members in the study. Many decisions that affect the Su family and even the business community of the whole country originate from this room. Right now, Grandpa Su had summoned all the second-generation descendants of the entire Su family. In addition to Zin, there are Xiao Su, Shorin Su, Shui Su, Sholi, Shozi Su, and Shuxin Su. Changfeng has 5 sons and 2 daughters, which represent the 5 characteristics of virtue: ren, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, and belief. Because of entanglement with Leona, Zin came last. As soon as he came in, he found that in the entire study, his father and 6 younger siblings were all flustered. This made him feel a little bit uncomfortable in his heart. In his impression, his father had been calm and composed for many years. It was always the case that the temperament of any sort collapsed before his appearance. How could he panic like this today? Moreover, he also found that the eyes of the younger brothers and sisters around him looked very strange at this time. Their eyes are nervous, fearful, sympathetic, and even compassionate. So he asked nervously, "Dad, what happened?" Changfeng raised his head to look at him, and asked with some guilty conscience, "Did you not see the news feed?" Zin looked down at his pajamas and said embarrassingly, "What notifications?" "I was taking a shower just now. After washing, the housekeeper said that you were looking for me, so I hurried over and didn't even get my phone." Changfeng sighed with a complicated expression, and said, "Zin, there are some things, you have to understand me more. I sit in this position, I really want to take the overall situation into account, not too concerned about the love of my children. Xin was a little surprised. He didn't quite understand why the old man suddenly said such a thing. Moreover, the old man's tone seemed a bit of admitting his mistake and begging for forgiveness. You know, the old man has always treated his children and grandchildren extremely harshly. At the family meeting, Ziyuan, Shushan's son, was satisfied with his father's dozens of slaps and almost fainted because he talked nonsense in front of the old man and made him unhappy. This shows that it is impossible for the old man to admit his mistakes to his grandchildren. But today, why did he say this? Chengfeng, the elder of the Su family, did not admit his fault to his children and grandchildren in his life. He has always been extremely strong and has the style of an ancient emperor. In the eyes of ancient emperors, the appearance and his own power were the most important, and his children would never be the first. It was the same in his eyes. The foundation of the Su family and his unshakable position as the head of the patriarch was the most important things in his eyes. In front of these, what do children and grandchildren count? However, this time, he never dreamed that the National Security Agency of Japan would actually find out his affairs with the top self-defense forces. They even found out that Ruoli's true identity was Xin's illegitimate daughter and his own granddaughter. Now, people across the country know that Chengfeng is a tortoise bee at starred who can sacrifice the lives of his grandchildren for his own benefit at any time. These children in front of me don't know how to think of themselves. After that, if any father or grandfather does such a thing, his children and grandchildren will be very disappointed, and even stay away from him. Therefore, Mr. Su knew very well in his heart, this incident must have caused me to be cast aside by the world, and the Su family has suffered heavy losses in all aspects. If I don't deal with the internal influence of the family properly, my patriarchy will probably be immediately challenged and I will lose all prestige. Even the Su family may be overwhelmed. At the moment, it is the most critical moment for the Su family. Therefore, I must try my best to calm Xin's mentality first, otherwise, in case he knows that I betrayed his biological daughter, and he cannot be on any level. If he understands and tolerates me a little bit more, then he is likely to take the lead against me in anger. If that happens, family trouble will be too great. As long as I can hold him steady, everyone else can hold it.